This plasticity notion, and this will likely upset our educationalists who might be listening and neuroscientists who might be listening, evokes the notion of hardware. So I don't know what you think about this, that there is this golden window supposedly early on in life where unless you get taught the language or unless you get taught the mathematics, then the window closes. And the parallel or the mirror image of this is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So at one end is the golden opportunity for learning, and at the other end, learning is closed off from you. Now, I've got my own stock answer of this, but the cultural answer seems to be it is brain decay that goes on. You start out with a brain that is a sponge, and by the end, all hope is almost lost to you to learn anything new. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know the fact of the matter about how the brain works, and I don't think neuroscientists do either. But I'm not hostile to the idea that the hardware of a brain works better when one is young. I just don't think it's relevant to anything. I read somewhere that it's totally not true that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Old dogs are just as able to learn new tricks as young dogs. So, but that's dogs, and I don't think we are like dogs anyway in the first place. And I don't think that dogs learning tricks is a good metaphor for humans learning mathematics. It's a different thing. Thomas Szasz says that they should walk in different doors into different buildings in the university to discuss those things. Different people are different. There are people who like to learn languages. You can find them on the internet. And I'm flabbergasted by what they can do. There are people who learn Latin, but not just learn Latin. They learn realistic Latin, not as it's taught in Latin lessons, but how it was actually spoken. How do you find out how it was actually spoken? Well, this is a tremendous, sophisticated branch of history where they can actually learn a lot about how people used to speak. And I saw a video of a guy walking around Rome talking to priests in classical Latin and to see if they would understand him. And they kind of half understood him. And then, when they realized what was happening, they would say, what's happening? And then he would reply in medieval church Latin what he was doing. He'd saying, I'm doing an experiment. And then they would understand him. But he had the right medieval church Latin accent. And they have the present day church Latin accent. And there are also people who learn lots of languages and speak it like a native, can't be distinguished from a native. So why are those people so rare? Well, I don't want to do it. If I could do it by snapping my fingers, I definitely would. But I'm not sufficiently interested to engage with other languages to the extent that I engage with English. By the way, another thing is that people are constantly learning their own language, their native language. And if one is interested in communication, one is doing that all the time. No two people speak the same English. Therefore, communicating, one of the reasons that Popper says, you can't speak so that it's impossible not to be understood. One of the reasons for that is that everybody speaks a different English. Everybody means a different thing by the word thought or freedom and idea and theory and creativity. Everybody means something different. Even within the exact sciences, every physicist has a different conception of what a manifold is. They overlap enough to be able to communicate well, very well sometimes, never perfectly. And sometimes they find it hard to communicate even imperfectly, even though they have ostensibly gone through the same learning process. But every physicist is different. Every physicist has a different problem situation, has a different set of ideas that they think of as what physics is, and they differ from each other. So if they want to work together, they often have to work at understanding what each other mean. Now, plasticity, if it's true that the brain sort of works faster or whatever, lays down memories more easily or something when one is young, for hardware reasons, I don't see how that changes anything. You might want a person to have an intuitive knowledge of piano playing, but that's what you want. That may not be what they want, and there's an infinite number of things that somebody might want them to be proficient at. And it's impossible. There is no one who is proficient at all the things that society thinks children should grow up proficient at.